All right, everybody, welcome back to Speedrun Ragnarok 2021. We are here for Music Block. I'm moonblazewolf. I'm going to be hosting the next 4 runs. Really excited for this, and we're going to be kicking things off momentarily with Crypt of the NecroDancer. Before we get started, I just want to mention we did open a new incentive for y'all to donate for. Currently, if you donate $20, you can do a song request for Beatmania 2DX, which is the run that is coming up after this. So get those song requests in, $20 donation, and you can pick a song. I believe the maximum skill level is 11, I want to say. But yeah, get those donations in. There's only 7 of them exactly, so you need to choose a reward when you go to donate, and you can donate for a song of your choice for Sparkover. So yeah, with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to ZELLLOO and Spooty to kick off Crypt of the NecroDancer. Here we go.
Hey everyone, I'm ZELLLOO or ZELLLOO, however you want to say it. I am joined by Spootybiscuit.
Yeah, hello. I run this game sometimes, and by sometimes I mean all the time.
So this is Crypt of the NecroDancer Amplified. This is the DLC added on, which adds an extra zone and a bunch of other goodies. What we're going to be doing today is under extra modes, we're going to be playing story mode right here. Story mode plays the 4 story characters back to back, so you're going to get 4 separate runs in one. But it's a little scary because of that, because this being a roguelike, if I die, that's the end of the run. So if I do die past the first character, I will just play the individual characters just to be able to fill out a full story block. But I think we're about good to go. I'm going to leave commentary to Spooty because this is a pretty difficult run. So we're going to go in 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, so welcome. This is Crypt of the NecroDancer Amplified. We're going to be starting things off with Nocturna. Nocturna is the prequel character that was added in the DLC. So the events of the Nocturna story take place quite some time before the mainline events that occur in most of the rest of the game. And also, right off the bat, we kind of start with a character that has a very unique trait. You're going to see every floor has a room that kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. It's got purple floors and walls and wires. That's what we call the Zone 5 bleed. It's kind of the way the devs intended to like introduce the new content with the DLC. So basically, yeah, there's a bit from like a singular room in every floor from the new zone, and so there will be just a little bit of that. Most of the rooms are going to have the wire, which if you stand on the wire, you'll gain a chain lightning attack that will zap any enemies touching your target. So a couple things to note about it. This is a rhythm-based dungeon crawler. So basically, you're going to be crawling through the dungeon, and you move to the beat. It's essentially a turn-based game, but every turn is on a strict timer that is tied to the song. You can't act additional times outside of the beat. If you do, you'll just get like a missed beat notice and lose your multiplier. Yeah, if you just wait too long and miss the turn, then you're just not going to be able to act for that turn, and all the enemies will move while you stand still, which sometimes you intentionally want to do. Something else worth noting about this game is it has a very simplistic control scheme. It's actually designed to be playable with only the 4 arrow keys. So basically there's no separate attack and move buttons. Every weapon has its unique range and playstyle, and basically if there's an enemy to attack in the direction you press, you'll attack. If there isn't, then you'll move. Nocturna is kind of meant to be a more introductory level character, because the game was kind of notorious for being really difficult. So the new character, main character of the DLC, kind of has a lot of safety mechanics, and one of them is this new weapon type that we just gave up, the Cutlass. The Cutlass, as long as you are attacking on a turn, you will automatically parry any incoming melee attacks on the same turn. Makes it a lot easier to push and just avoid damage. As long as you keep attacking, you're generally going to avoid damage. But that said, it is just a 2-tile forward reach. It's a pretty straightforward weapon. It's not a particularly strong one. It is just a base Cutlass, which all base weapons only do 1 damage. And obviously, as you'd guess, dealing 1 damage all the time is not very fast. The game is pretty good about making itself consistently winnable, even on starting equipment. In fact, there's a whole category called low percent, which is low percent entails just going through the whole game without picking up any items or using any shrines. And every character has been beaten low percent, some of them even quite quickly. So it's not strictly necessary to get damage upgrades, but you're generally going to want it. So this Obsidian Longsword, not only does it hit 2 tiles away, but it actually hits both tiles simultaneously. So it can be good at clearing out some swarms a little more quickly, with it being able to hit 2 enemies at the same time. Doing a little shopping, and picking up the 2 Cursed Hearts. Cursed Hearts are essentially temporary heart containers, but you can uncurse them by healing them, by using healing on them. So ZELLLOO just immediately using the food there to uncurse them, and now is at a permanent 6 health, which is very, very high. Additional max health can be pretty difficult to come by in this game, so all that said, all the extra max health in the world doesn't do a whole lot if you don't have much armor, and ZELLLOO currently does not have much armor. All he's got are those Hargreaves on the foot slot, which is going to reduce any incoming damage by half a heart, which, yeah, is not much. And picking up the glass armor and then immediately breaking it. The glass armor is going to block 1 hit of damage. Like any incoming damage will just block it and then it'll break. So we're on zone 3, and zone 3 is kind of the hot cold zone. There's hot coals and ice. Hot coals, the way they work is as long as you keep moving while you're on them, they won't damage you, but if you do anything that causes you to stand still on them, you'll take damage. So unfortunately, coming out of the glass shop and getting snagged on the Hellhound, immediately breaking them. Which is really unfortunate because there's this transmog here, and if he had managed to keep that glass armor here, he could transmog the glass armor into more consistently damage-reducing armor like plate armor or chainmail and be in much better shape, but with nothing in the armor slot, there's nothing to transmog. So, just gonna have to settle for a shovel upgrade. It gets the Shovel of Strength, which grants a big dig status, so whenever you dig 1 tile, you'll dig everything in a 3x3 square. It also gives +1 damage to the attack, which is kind of useful here. It's not the most essential thing with Obsidian, because one of the things to note about damage numbers is there's a pretty notable threshold where there's a lot more enemies that are at exactly 3 HP in the game, and then after that, there's kind of a bit of a fall off, so being able to deal 4 damage in 1 hit is not all that useful. It does let you one-shot a few things, like this green dragon, but generally 3 is a magic number in this game. You want to have 3 damage if you can.
Those gray goblins almost got me. I almost missed that.
Speaking of 3 being a magic number, gray goblins, I'm going to teach you a very important lesson about gray goblins. And the very important lesson is that they do 3 entire hearts of damage. So you really don't want to get hit by those.
Just FYI, that's more than some mini-bosses in this game.
Yeah, those gray goblins are really, really dangerous, and they get a lot of flack from the player base for just completely ruining your run if they ever sneak up on you. Because yeah, that's 3 hearts is your starting health. Like, you can just be completely fine and full HP, tempting, and then you're just dead.
Piercing was tempting, but I think I'm gonna stick with the piece.
Yeah, the Ring of Peace that ZELLLOO got early on in the run, I didn't really get to talk about.
That's a 2 damage axe.
Ooh,
let's go
yeah,
there.
That's a good find. So the Ring of Peace is essentially an easy mode ring, which, yeah, as you guess, does help us go faster. Ring of Peace gives you an extra heart container, makes your
armor.
Mini bosses weaker, and also reduces the number of enemies every floor. It's one of the strongest rings in speedrunning, so it's pretty hard to give up. Ring of Piercing is strong for sure, but yeah, I think Peace is the correct call here. So, ZELLLOO just swapped off of the Obsidian Longsword into the Axe, and the Axe is hands down the strongest weapon type in the game for speedrunning. The Axe can attack tiles directly in front of you singularly, or it can do a move attack where it hits 3 tiles in a wide line a tile away from you. It is the only weapon type in the game that has the honor of being both AoE and move attack. There are a few other move attack weapons, the Cat of Nine Tails, and the Rapier, and as well as the Golden Lute, which is a special type of weapon we'll be seeing for sure in a couple of characters. But Axe has just got so many good traits to it with the combined.
I'll grab these too.
with the combined move, attack, and AoE. So making a few swaps there, getting the Crown of Thorns. Crown of Thorns is going to provide half a heart of healing every 10 kills. Going to pair really nicely with the Heavy Plate, which the Heavy Plate reduces all incoming damage by 2 full hearts. So there is not much that's going to hurt ZELLLOO for more than half a heart at this point. And something else you'll probably see ZELLLOO going for is a lot of bombs. Bombs are very valuable for the end game on Nocturna. You want to have a lot of bombs for the Frankenstein way and Conductor fights at the end. So we're through Zone 4, which is one of the scariest zones in the game. It has these ooze golems that spawn the ooze floor hazard, which shrink you. While you're shrunk, you can't attack, you can't dig, and any attacks hitting you deal double damage. It's really nasty to get hit on it. And there's the Bomb Charm. That's really good for the end game fights. It's going to completely trivialize the Conductor fight when we get there, which is really good because the Conductor fight can be really long-winded if you don't have the explosive resources to deal with it quickly. But with ZELLLOO's current build, he should be able to make quick work of it when he gets there. So we're on Zone 5, so yeah, you've been seeing individual pieces of this zone up to this point with the Nocturna Zone Bleed, but now we've got a whole floor of it. So the wire, as it turns out, is very, very strong. As long as you stand on the wire, you're going to clear out swarms of enemies really fast because of the lightning, the chain lightning effect. So you're going to be seeing ZELLLOO just kind of walking up the wires a lot of the time, especially with this axe that allows him to move and attack at the same time. And just let that, you know, electricity take everything out quickly.
Shield also lets me just walk into pretty much everything and not even worry about stuff.
Yeah, spells in general in this game are very, very strong. And really emphasize the idea of using your health as a resource. Because yeah, if you look over at the right side of the screen... Oh, you got previous position bugged. That's funny.
Yeah, that's silly.
But yeah, if you look at the right side of the screen, you'll see that 11 kills or 1 heart. So it'll go off cooldown after you get enough kills, or you can just spend some health and cast it immediately, which makes spells like Shield really strong, because like if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're worried about taking a lot of damage, you just spend the health ahead of time. Get invincible for 10 beats, and then you don't have to worry about it at all. You can just push in. So Frankenstein Way, pretty fast fight with the bombs able to destroy the shield generators. Yeah, just a few phases, 10 HP a piece, just knock it down and move on. And the Conductor got 2 phases. She first starts off with this phase where you have to activate the wires by walking up them to lower the shields and destroy the 4 instruments. And the second phase is going to involve 5 batteries that need to be taken out. The intended method for it is to stand on the wires connecting to them and attack enemies to drain them of power. But you can also damage them with bombs, and with the Bomb Charm providing large explosions, we're just going to see ZELLLOO just spam bombs really easily. One short of being able to full clear, but yeah, just a couple of zaps will clear out the remaining batteries. And yeah, that's a really fast Conductor fight.
Yeah, that's extremely quick.
That is the first character, Nocturna, done. So now we are on to the baseline character, Cadence, the main character, main protagonist of the series. And so this is essentially like the baseline experience. There's no special rules or abilities that Cadence has. Nocturna has a number of traits, outside of the Zone 5 fleet I mentioned. She can turn into Bat Form, which has 4 base damage and really helps progress through the early game when you're low on damage a lot faster. She also has an emergency Bat Form, which triggers if you would otherwise die. She just turns into a bat instead and survives at half a heart. So a lot of safety mechanics on top of the, starting with the safer Cutlass weapon. Cadence essentially takes all those training wheels off, and yeah, the health you see on the right is what you get. There's no starting spells or anything. All you start with is a basic Dagger, which can only hit the tile right in front of you, basic Shovel, which can only dig dirt walls, and 1 bomb. So red dragons are a little scary, but if you know how to bait them into breathing their fire in at the right times, they're fairly easy to deal with. The 2 damage from the titanium dagger that ZELLLOO picked up earlier definitely helps as well. So, bombing into the blood shop. Blood shops always appear in 1-1 or 1-2, and are a great way to get your run started. They can have any kind of item, including potentially very strong weapons.
Last time's good.
unfortunately, Broadsword is kind of meh, so ZELLLOO's gonna just save the health and move on from there. I think gonna be looking for armor there and doesn't get it. That's a gold flail, and gold weapons are great for score runs, and they do have the unique trait of that they deal infinite damage for 1 beat after you pick up gold. But that can take a little bit of, that takes a lot of maneuvering to really take full advantage of, and it's way better to just have the consistent 2 damage that we're seeing right now with the Titanium Dagger.
So Rina has Zap Dagger. That's perfect.
Ooh, yeah. Electric Dagger is, I think, probably the second best weapon in the game behind axes as a whole category. So Electric Dagger is just a 2 damage dagger, much like the Titanium Dagger we left behind, but it always has that chain lightning effect that we see on the Zone 5 wire. It's active at all times. And once you do get to Zone 5 and you get the electric wire, when you're standing on the wire, you deal infinite damage on your melee, and the lightning deals 2 damage instead of 1. So it's a really, really strong weapon that can clear out huge rooms at a time. The thing is, you have to be very careful about where you step, make sure you're not walking into damage. Other weapons with range, you get a little bit of a safety margin, but here you gotta be careful and make sure that you know exactly where you're moving and where you're stepping. So that's the Shrine of Blood. We're probably gonna see that bomb here. The Shrine of Blood can be activated for a random blood weapon and blood shovel at the cost of being reduced to half a heart, or you can just bomb it, and it gives you a Ring of Regen, which is one of the best rings in the game. Ring of Regen is going to give you a free half a heart heal at the start of every floor, which that really adds up, and again plays into what I mentioned earlier of the importance of using your health as a resource. It really enables you to just kind of like throw yourself at enemies sometimes if you know the damage you're going to take isn't too bad, and just really plow through. And oh, the pink shovel. The pink shovel. We actually, there's currently a tournament going on, a 1-week tournament going on that is testing banning this item from races because it is just too dang strong.
My build's pretty good now.
Yeah, the Shovel of Courage works much like the Ring of Courage, which we haven't seen yet, but it has level 2 dig, so it can dig rock walls, and it also moves you into the tile that you step into whenever you dig. It essentially turns walls from a hindrance into a resource, because not only does it move you into that tile, you are invincible for the turn that you move into a wall tile. So walls go from being a time-consuming thing that you have to spend time breaking down to get through, to something that doesn't only not cost you time, but you are invincible and you can just throw yourself in front of bosses.
That ring. No.
Okay, so that right there is the Ring of Becoming, sometimes known in the community as the Dry Baby, due to its appearance of like kind of a small, weird-looking skeleton, and a little reference to Binding of Isaac for those familiar with other roguelikes. The Ring of Becoming is actually just straight up the worst ring in the game. All it does is it makes you die in 1 hit. But if you can get it to a transmute or a transmog source, it becomes the Ring of Wonder, which is arguably the best ring in the game. Ring of Wonder gives you +2 damage, extra heart container, regeneration at the start of every floor, faster spell cooldowns, half-price shops. Like, it gives you pretty much almost all of the good rings combined into one. But the risk is not worth it if you don't have an immediate way to get it off of the Becoming status and into the Wonder status.
Can I sneak in with a couple of donations?
Yes, absolutely.
Go for it.
All right, we've got a $20 donation from Stealthfire101. No comment, but thank you so much for that donation. We have a $3 donation from Grey Goblin that says, "Do you know how much damage I do?" And then we have a $5 donation from Omnomnomaly that says, "Boop bop, a bippity bop da boop."
Couldn't have said better myself. So, something I want to comment on about boss fights, because ZELLLOO actually just missed the flawless victory. So for boss fights, you're generally going to want to try and complete them without taking any damage and without skipping any beats. That is going to give you what is called a flawless victory, and that's what causes those chests in the back of the boss floors to spawn. It's really important to get the flawless victories on the early bosses in your run, because that's usually how you're going to get your first weapon upgrade. The earlier floors have a worse item pool, so it's kind of hard to find good weapons in the early game. But you still generally want to try and get flawlesses up through your Zone 3 boss. And so ZELLLOO missing it is a little bit of a setback, but not too much. So, yeah, he's still cruising along just fine. Gotta be careful of these ooze tiles, though. And, yeah, you want to really, really careful about those pink monkeys that we're seeing. We like to call them telemonkeys. And, if they grab you, they teleport you to a random location, and that can be sometimes right next to an enemy that's about to stomp. Like a mini-boss or a golem. Or sometimes it can be back to the starting room. They're very risky to take. Some players try and take them intentionally, like Goo. But
Shout out to Goo.
Yeah. So we're heading into Zone 5. ZELLLOO checking the boss chest. A lot of times you'll see runners skip the boss chest on Zone 5 just because Zone 4 is pretty universally considered the hardest zone among experienced players. And Zone 5 is considerably easier because of the wire, especially with his electric dagger. Like, those pink evil eyes have 2 HP, so normally one zap wouldn't be enough to kill him, but with the double electric damage from the dagger, a lot of things are just going to die in one hit.
That being said, it is a marathon, so I will go out of the way for a little bit of safety, especially on the next 2 characters.
Yeah, you're definitely playing a lot safer than I've seen you play during the racing season. But you know, nothing wrong with that. Again, just a reminder: this is a roguelike with permadeath. If ZELLLOO were to die, the story run would start all the way from the beginning, back at the start of the Nocturna run. Again, if that does happen, we just swap over and just showcase the remaining single characters. Rather than start the run all over from the beginning. But anyway, this is Deadringer. Deadringer, you have to ring all 4 bells and then get Deadringer to charge into the gong. Once he gets to phase 2, he is really dangerous. These fast charges that he's doing.
This is why I have shield.
Yeah, deal 4 hearts of damage.
Okay,
Chainmail will make
way
it
off rails.
Chainmail like that makes it survivable because it'll reduce it to 3 hearts. Just giving the chat a little bit of demonstration about what I'm saying, about how scary Dagger is and how much damage he deals. You know, don't worry, it's all planned. So, okay.
In a bad spot.
Again, Cadence, you do want to have some bombs at the end because it lets you bomb through the stage. Normally, you're intended to align Cadence and Dorian so that they both step on buttons at the same time to gradually lower the stage. But with bombs, you can just bomb through and go straight to the loot and the Necromancer. So the loot is, as I mentioned before, one of the move attack weapons, and I'll be talking about that more once we get to the Melody run next. But the loot is, yeah, what you use to kill the Necromancer. He's immune to all other damage, but once we finish that, we move on to Melody. Melody is Cadence's mom, and she is cursed into playing the Golden Loot to stay alive. So the Golden Loot is a very unique weapon. It only deals 1 damage, and it cannot be affected by other items that give damage ups. So it always deals 1 damage, but the thing is, despite only dealing 1 damage, it is what I would say is probably the most overpowered weapon in the game. It is a special weapon type, only Melody gets it, and Cadence at the very end of the run. But it deals 1 damage to all surrounding tiles of both your departure tile and your destination tile, to all tiles surrounding it. But the downside to the loot is that you cannot attack enemies directly. If you try and walk into an enemy that's next to you, you're just gonna kind of nudge into it and do nothing. Which means that Melody can be really scary, because that means if you find yourself in a situation where there are enemies on every side of you, on all 4 sides, you are probably just dead, because you literally cannot attack anything. So you have to be really careful that you are always moving, always keeping yourself so that you can have an open space to move, and not spending too many turns standing still. We got a food shop here. Food shop kill is really easy. Only has 1 HP, does spawn some bombs to try and get like kind of the revenge kill on you when he dies, but they spawn in consistent spots, so very consistent way to get some extra health. Hargreaves there, again, we saw those back in the Nocturna run. They provide half a heart of defense. So one of the nice things about Melody being locked to only using the golden loot is the way the game works. It actually removes any items from the pool that would have no effect for the character you're currently playing. So there are no weapons in the black chest pool. The black chests normally contain boots, weapons, and armor, but now they're only going to contain
that makes me feel better there.
armor, and boots. And the way the item pool is set up for bosses, the only things that can come out of the boss chest pool are gonna be plate armor, glass armor, heavy glass armor, and heavy plate armor. You generally want plate armor or heavy plate, and that's exactly what we got there. And yeah, very important here, Shrine of Space. Shrine of Space is kind of primarily meant to be like a score running shrine. When you activate it, it adds one additional room to every floor for future floors. But in turn, it gives you a choice of shovel. But more importantly, if you bomb it after activating, you get the Miner's Cap. And the Miner's Cap is kind of like the Shovel of Courage we saw earlier. It's going to automatically dig walls when you get next to them. Unlike the Shovel of Courage, it doesn't have any sort of invincibility. And it digs a lot more walls because it digs walls you are next to, not just the ones that you move into. But for Melody, whose survival depends on being able to constantly move, just being able to tear down walls on the go is really, really strong.
I'm gonna check for a spell here in purple. That's not a spell.
Yeah, so the purple chests contain all sorts of magical items. That's going to be scrolls, tomes, rings, and spells. A lot of rings and spells are very, very strong, so it's very often worth it to check the purple chest from your bosses if you are satisfied with your weapon and armor situation. Getting the Ring of Luck, though, which isn't particularly strong, it prevents bats, which move randomly, from ever attacking you unless they're forced to attack you on their turn. Like, if they have no other choice but to attack you, they will. And it also makes the contents of crates a little better. So, like, if a crate would have any kind of food right now, like any kind of basic food, it'll now instead have a ham, which heals 4 health, as opposed to the chickens 3, the cheeses 2, or the apples 1.
The exit's gone.
Yeah, here's the hazard of the Shrine of Space. The extra room that it adds to floors can make the intuition for reading the maps
a
lot harder.
Nasty.
So there's pretty consistent algorithms to how floors are generated for the most part. Like you may have noticed a lot of the time, ZELLLOOO is just kind of walking in a direction immediately at the start of the floor, and hey, there's the exit. And that's not random chance. There are a lot of consistent traits with floor layouts that you can deduce and by looking at where things are and making a guess as to which direction you should be going. But Shrine of Space with the extra room on every floor really mucks that up. So we got Coral Rift here. Coral Rift, a little bit of a slower fight if you don't have bombs to spare on Melody because of her inability to do more than 1 damage at a time. But we do have some bombs to spare, and we get the kill there. And it is really good to see that ZELLLOOO has a big stack of bombs here because I mentioned before, Melody has an inability to deal with enemies completely surrounding her, but having options that aren't just straight up attacks can help with that. So we've got a Fireball Scroll, which can clear out enemies horizontal, and we've got a bunch of bombs. Worst case scenario, if ZELLLOOO finds themselves surrounded,
that's actually better.
They can drop some bombs, just tank the explosive damage, and let the bomb damage clear out the enemies and, free up their movement options again. Blue dragons are really scary. They spray in a huge conical pattern, and freeze you for 3 beats if they hit. It does affect enemies as well, which is sometimes useful, but yeah, blue dragons gotta be very careful around those. Same goes for these orange armadillos. These orange armadillos are really sneaky. They're like the armadillos in Zone 2, but they can roll in all 8 directions, including diagonals, so you have to be very cautious about them.
There are just enemies everywhere in Zone 4 right now. I'm gonna lay down some bombs.
Yeah, that's a good plan to use some bombs there. You can also swap the Explorer's Boots there. Does mean a slight drop in defense, but the important thing about the Explorer's Boots is they are one of the types of boots that protect against the ooze hazard in this zone. So not going to get shrunk on ooze anymore. Don't have to worry about that double damage debuff. So yeah, it's really good if you can find explorer's boots or lead boots to use that for to prevent the ooze from causing trouble.
The armadillos are getting me good today.
Yeah, those orange armadillos are tricky. So pixies are a little tricky for Melody, because pixies basically are trying to heal you, but if you do anything to attack them, they explode instead. But Melody constantly attacks by, you know, every time she moves, so you very kind of counterintuitively have to stand still in most cases to let pixies actually get their heals off. And there's a potion pickup over there. Potion is essentially an extra life. They rarely spawn, but they're very clearly marked by a solid wall of high-level walls, so able to spot that ring of tier 3 walls and recognize that that's a potion and pick that up. So Earth spell, we have a few Earth tomes, and we just used it for a quick kill on Fortissimo. Earth spell just spawns some walls around you, and if there are any enemies in the ring of walls that can't be pushed back for one reason or another, they instantly die. It's a really strong spell. Whoop! Nice use of the nice use of the Earth spell there. Yeah, got frozen right in front of a blue dragon, and blue dragons hurt if they stomp you. They also deal 3 hearts of damage. The plate armor would at least soften it down to 1.5 hearts, but still more than you want to take. But yeah, while you're frozen, you can't attack or move, but you can still use items and bombs. So good intuition from ZELLLOOO there to use the Earth Tome to crush the dragon and save themselves the Dragon Stomp.
Yeah, a lot of the one-beat reactions you get used to over time. It's very difficult to learn that kind of skill.
So a quick little lesson on mapping is ooh, yeah, close situation there with those black skeletons. So yeah, I've mentioned before that there were consistent rules you could pick up on to help you map, and one of those, which ZELLLOOO kind of had the ability there, is the exit room never has traps in it, and the Torch of Foresight it currently has will reveal all traps on the minimap. So you just look for the room that has no traps in it, and that'll get you to the exit pretty easily. So we got the NecroDancer 2 fight, and this one is unique. Is a unique boss fight in that it actually has an end of the song. All other bosses will just loop indefinitely, but this one gradually speeds up, and if you let it run out at the end of the song, that's when those walls on the side completely collapse in, and you instantly die if you're still in the fight at that point.
And now we have the scary character.
Alright, so yeah, this is where anyone who's tried to fully complete the story in NecroDancer probably hit a brick wall, and a lot of folks, you know, gave up and threw their controllers out the window in frustration. This is Aria. Aria is Cadence's grandmother, so Melody's mother. She's been left dead or undead at the bottom of the crypt for years after trying to destroy the golden loot, you know, some number of years ago. And Melody rescues her, and she takes the golden loot to go destroy it because it's cursed and needs to be, you know, you need to be rid of it from this world because it does the world no good overall. But and so she tried to work with the NecroDancer to destroy the loot, but he betrayed her and killed her. Thrust a dagger in her heart and left her for dead. But she gets revived, and now she is using the dagger that was thrust into her heart to fight her way back out of the crypt to go destroy the golden loot. Like, she's the most intense grandma I've ever known. I'll just say that. But the downside to the whole thing is that she is permanently locked at half a heart of health. You may have noticed up at the top right, there is just one lonely blinking half a red heart up there. That's all she has, and that's all she can get. Which means that anything and everything that hits her can kill her. The upside is she does start with a potion, so does essentially have 1 extra life. But it's not just enemies that are trying to kill Aria. Aria also cannot miss any beats. If you miss any beats, and that includes performing invalid actions like trying to dig a wall that your shovel can't handle, or even just getting grabbed by a monkey in Zone 1. then she will also die, or at least lose the potion. So, and on top of all that, she can't use any weapon other than that starting dagger. So, Arya is very much a matter of playing, you know, with precision and consistency. You have to never miss a beat, and you have to make sure you're not taking damage. You have to be really familiar and comfortable with dagger combat, not having that safety cushion of long range that a lot of other weapons offer, or move attacks like the golden loot. You have to always get close and personal with enemies to deal with them.
We're gonna go black here, hopefully get some armor of some kind. Nope. It's a tough call between winged boots and boots of strength, to be honest, just because...
Yeah. This is a tough call for ZELLLOO because I mentioned before, 3 damage is a very important threshold. There's a lot of common enemies that have 3 damage, but at the same time, winged boots give protection against all floor hazards. The main reason you don't really want winged boots too much, there's 2 reasons you generally don't want winged boots in the speedrun on most characters. One reason is trapdoors. You want to be able to take trapdoors because they get you to the next floor quickly. And the other one is Zone 5. If you have winged boots, then you can't gain the electricity buff from the wire. But both of those don't apply to Arya, because trapdoors drop your multiplier, which essentially counts as a misbeat and will cause Arya to lose her potion or die if she doesn't have one. Oh, speaking of potion, there goes that potion. It's an unfortunate setup between the Rider and the Blade Master, so ZELLLOO's gonna have to be very careful now. Because, yeah, now essentially any attack... Oh, that might be a potion room on the left, though. Hopefully he can make it there and find out. That's a lot of bats, but, yeah, so,
Okay.
yeah, as I was saying, yeah, so with trapdoors not really being a viable option for Arya, and with the wire zone being at the start of the run, winged boots are a lot more viable for Arya, and so, yeah, just making the decision to stick with winged boots here, on most characters would not be what you go for. You generally are just going to slam into that damage up with the Boots of Strength. But here it's a pretty good decision. It means not having to worry about the ooze here, not having to worry about the hot coals and ice in future zones. And I do mean future zones. Something about Arya is that she kind of has an enemy bleed. There's going to be all kinds of enemies in every zone after this one. Even ones that don't normally belong there. So you might see some hot coals and some ice when we get to the end of the run, even in zones where they normally wouldn't show up. Yeah, ZELLLOO just playing this very precisely, very cautiously here, not wanting to get into a bad situation here. So, haven't really talked about the ring he's got. The Ring of Frost makes your attacks freeze enemies, and not only that, if you attack an already frozen enemy, they will die instantly.
Good job, me. I popped the pixie by accident. I'm just playing this very safe right here. We'll grab the crown just in case I can transmog it, but we're gonna get the heavy glass here.
Yes, that heavy glass was way outside of ZELLLOO's price point, so this is a situation where it's worthwhile to kill the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper has 9 HP, can move in all 8 directions and attack in all 8 directions, and does so every beat. So you need one of a few setups to potentially kill him. You can't really do it with just your starting equipment, but ZELLLOO had plenty of options to do the Ring of Frost. Makes it a lot easier, and the simplest setup, which we saw there, is just a double bomb setup.
I don't like this.
This is getting rough. Ooh, nice use of the fire pig trap there.
We'll pretend that was intentional.
No, it was 100% intentional. Absolutely. Brilliant play. Good job, ZELLLOO.
Thank you.
So we've got a nice throw bomb situation there. Coral Riff is invincible for the first phase of his fight, but you can get into the second phase prematurely by just hitting him, and that causes him to teleport to the bottom. And if you have a bomb to follow up with, and he's got low enough health, which Coral Rift 2 does have 4 HP, which is the amount of damage a bomb deals, you can just quick kill it like that with a throwable weapon. And thankfully, Arya is locked to a throwable weapon. She can't get anything other than the starting dagger, which is throwable. We got an urn over on the right. Could invest some time on breaking that on some of these traps here. Urns always contain a food item, although in Arya's case, it'll be converted to a pile of gold since she can't really use food very effectively. A spell and a random urn pool item. So knocking it down to the trap door there will send it to the next floor and deal 1 damage to it. And we've got another bomb here, which can be used to finish it off. Let's see what we get. Crystal Shovel is
actually really nice right now.
And a Fireball spell. So the Crystal Shovel is the strongest shovel in the game for most intents and purposes. It can dig any tier of wall except for the shop walls or the level boundaries. And it doesn't break or lose strength. Like the Glass Shovel will break if you take damage. The Obsidian Shovel will lose strength if you drop your multiplier for any reason. The Crystal Shovel just always is digging at max strength, so it's very strong. Gotta be very careful about Banshees here. Leaving Banshees alive for a prolonged period of time after attacking them for the first time is really dangerous on Arya, because you lose the audio cues of the music, and again, if you fall off beat while the music's silent like that,
actually,
you're gonna die. Like, that's all there is to it.
Shield is good safety.
So, yeah, ZELLLOO swapping for the shield scroll here. I imagine the plan likely here is to hopefully be able to save this for the loot fight at the very end of the run, because it makes it extremely consistent and safe. But if there's ever another bad situation where that calls for just, a panic button, it's a great option. So,
can I sneak in with a quick donation and an announcement?
Go for it.
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to remind everybody that if you donate $20 towards Take This using the Tiltify campaign that we have set up, there is a reward that you can choose to pick a song for our next run, which is Beatmania 2DX. So if you've been wanting to pick a song for our rhythm block that's coming up all night tonight, go ahead and get those in. And then we also have a $10 donation from Squiddy that says, yes, my favorite character, killed by Missed Beat.
Thanks,
yes.
Squiddy.
Miss Ed Beat. She's a ruthless assassin. So swapping to the shield tomes there. Shield tomes are only a regular shield spell as opposed to the greater shield. Ooh, that got really scary. Okay. So the heavy glass provides 3 hits of damage nullification. We're down to 1 hit. ZELLLOO's taken 2 hits on it, so it's just the little glass bib now. So gonna have to be cautious, but yeah, 2 shield tomes. They'll provide 2 shield spells that last 10 beats each, as opposed to the shield scroll, which was 1 shield that lasts 20 beats. It's a little bit more flexible to have the 2 shots of it instead of the 1 longer one. Spiked ears there, gonna give +2 damage. Normally they have the downside of if you were to miss the beat with spiked ears, they would instantly break. But Arya, if she misses the beat, she breaks. So it's there's nothing to lose here. It's just a straight up +2 damage, which means we're dealing 4 damage with the Ring of Frost. It's a pretty strong setup. 4 damage again is going to one-shot most enemies, with some exceptions like this Minotaur. But yeah, we're coming up on the end of the run, coming up on the last zone. Just got a Fortissimo fight, and then the final zone. The final zone can be pretty rough, though. Arya is one of the few characters where having a big shovel upgrade is actually really strong, because Zone 1 is the only zone which can have multiple rooms made up of tier 3 walls. And something you want to do on Arya a lot is dig buffer. If you ever find yourself needing to stand still to get on a good parity, a good cycle with enemies, you can stand still by just going to the wall and digging it. But if it's a room full of tier 3 walls and you don't have a shovel that can dig it, that becomes a lot harder. Ooh, okay, so something else worth noting, those monkeys. ZELLLOO has a hit of heavy glass here, which, you would think protects you from a hit. But monkeys work a little differently. Monkeys try and grab you and hold you still, and if you get grabbed by them, you lose your coin multiplier. And again, Missed Beat is defined as anything in this game that causes you to lose your multiplier. And so losing your multiplier is gonna bypass that defense that is provided by the 1 hit left of heavy glass. So monkeys are exceptionally dangerous in these final stages of the run, and ZELLLOO needs to be really sure that they do not get grabbed by one. I was actually really worried about that monkey back on the previous floor, to be honest. That was coming at a little bit of a scary time, but looks like we're in good shape. Nice use of the fireball spell to kill the dire bat, and we're coming up on the last floor before the final boss. And there's a Minotaur digging, so the exit's close by. It's a good layout. Yep, exit's right there. Very easy floor. And now we just have the golden loot fight with these two shield tomes available. We can, even if we got that RNG, which we didn't, we can force a quick kill here really easily just by using the shield spells. And ZELLLOO kind of...
Damn
ZELLLOO! Panicking! And missing the beat on the last hit of the golden loot! Oh no!
Alright, I don't have enough time to do a full Aria run, so what we're going to do is we're going to jump into Zone 1 and just try and do it from scratch real quick so we can finish a run. Yeah, I'm sorry, I completely botched it. I just panicked which way it was going, and I missed the beat, and I died. That's how scary this game can be. That's a bad situation.
That was a perfect quick kill setup with the shield tone safety, but like, yeah, just you know, even when you have those panic buttons in NecroDancer, when it comes to actually executing it, when you actually find yourself in those panic situations, well, you're panicking, and sometimes you just don't think about it until it's too late. So yeah, we're switching to single zones mode here, just to try and get a finished run here. Does mean we're gonna have to be doing this zone with starting equipment.
I forgot I don't have Lucky Charm.
Yeah, and yeah, gotta remember that you don't have any equipment now. Pretty standard for you to get the Lucky Charm from the Leprechaun in most runs, which you know, prevents bats from moving into you randomly. But don't have that now, so. Pulse spell there, gonna deal 5 damage in a cross shape, in an X shape, so very very strong if you can line it up, but lining up diagonals can be a little tricky.
These bats are not cooperating. There we go.
Nice fireball, and moving on to the last floor of this zone again.
Okay, there's shield right there, so I will actually remember to use the panic button, hopefully.
Yeah, and there are some differences in single zones mode compared to all zones mode. We just saw multiple chests in one floor. In all zones mode, there's only one chest to be found on every floor. But it does help make this make these backup strats of you know, playing in single zones mode a little bit more reliable. Nice use of the pulse spell there to take out the Minotaur. And okay, we're golden loot fight, take 2. So hopefully we don't see riders spawning out of the front of any sarcophagi, and we do not, so this is a good quick kill setup. And we have the shield spell in case things get sketchy. There we go. That's a perfect quick kill right there on the golden loot.
Time. Yeah, sorry I botched it at the end, but we did get our revenge, so it's okay.
I mean, chat can just, you know, kind of mentally splice the run. Just cut out from the moment when you died to this screen right here, and yeah, it's a perfectly legitimate run.
Just ignore that there's no speedrun timer anymore. It's okay. But as a whole, like, I did play that pretty safe, but it really showcases a lot of how scary story mode is and just a lot of really cool things about the game. So pretty happy. I actually did get a PB while practicing last night. I have now down to a 32 in-game time, which actually put me in top 20, which is really nice. So I am happy just being able to showcase this off. This is such a fun game.
Yeah, and I do want to give you know, a quick plug-in shout-out to Condor League Racing and to Elad Difficult and all of the Condor staff. This game is fairly old at this point, and we still have a really active and strong racing scene. We just finished a pretty major season like a couple months ago that saw, I'm trying to remember how many entrants. I think it was like 60 or 70. So if this game seems interesting to you, you know, go ahead and you know, don't be afraid to reach out and join some of the Discord servers. We'd be glad to have you and show you the ropes on how to run the game. It's got a great soundtrack and a great community. So yeah, just seeing a lot of the folks showing up here to show their support for ZELLLOO and drop donations. So yeah, thanks guys for coming out and showing your support. And yeah, any more words, ZELLLOO?
Not for this game in particular. I'm just happy to just open the rhythm game block because we have a bunch of friends coming up next for the next 3 showcases. So I definitely stay tuned for being in a 2DX and Spark over. And thanks for having me, everyone, because that ends my time with the marathon. But I'll be around in chat. So see y'all later.
I might have to donate to get She Is My Wife on the stream.